All right, guys, welcome to the season finale of Half Serious. This week is a little different. It is probably the worst episode because it is my episode. And we went off the rails quite a bit towards the end. We started off pretty good, but then we got off topic, and due to an event that we'll get into during the interview, our emotions were still very high. And when my emotions are high, I tend to talk faster and use the F-bomb like it is a comma in a sentence. However, because I did have to trim this episode down quite a bit because it turned into just a pretty big venting session for both of us, I am going to answer some of the questions you guys sent in between the exclamation marks of the word fucking. So that's going to be the cadence of this podcast, and I'll get rolling with our introduction clip here.
So how'd you like being in narcotics first? Because we both were in narcotics. So how'd you like that first?
I was timid about it at first. I fucking wanted it.
And it's completely different.
Yeah. It's a whole other police department. And some of those guys, like, obviously I knew them, but they, being in an office was on my 24 fucking hours a day, basically, is a lot different than just knowing somebody. Taking a piss in a car in a fucking bottle next to somebody is a little different than just knowing them, which is what you do in Stack. You can ride around and you have to do surveillance for so long that you end up pissing in a bottle and screaming at somebody not to look at you. But, yeah, I loved it, but I saw how it could turn toxic because it was just never ending phone blowing up. It was your whole fucking life. The more dangerous it got, because I think everybody on the unit, if you're good at it, I don't know if it is like that now, but I feel like if you're actually good at that stuff, that you are addicted to the rush of fuck almost died, because the closer you get to death or the closer you get to almost dying in narcotics probably means you're really close to a good lick or a good search warrant or something like that. Yeah.
But you're right. It takes a toll on you. I remember when I was in, I didn't realize what I was getting into because everybody wants to be the plainclothes cop until you get there and then you realize, holy shit, this is nothing what I thought this was fucking going to be.
No.
Because it's 24/7, non-fucking stop. You don't have a life anymore. I remember, because I live 30 minutes away, because when I was in, they had week-long calls, 7 days a week.
Nope, same, yep.
Okay, so you're still that way. They changed it now, but week-long calls, I remember because of two people, Blake being one of them, on weekends, I'd just sleep in my office because I knew he was going to call me every 2.5 hours every night.
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sleep in my office. Thank God they changed that for the new guys coming up. I think now they take one day at a time, whatever.
Well, and they don't test dope. So for those that don't know,
correct.
If somebody found a little bit of crack cocaine, narcotics would have to respond to test it. And now there's test kits out there that they don't have to.
Yeah, but FTOs, sergeants, supervisors, they all have them. Which, I wish they'd have had that when I was in. But see, I don't really know how they do things.
Question is, what all units were you part of and which ones were your favorite? I'm going to try to timeline this. I'll forget a couple. Patrol officer, field training officer, stack agent, sergeant, peer support, recruitment team, and incident response team. Did the SWAT school thing, and then lieutenant over the patrol, police academy, recruitment, field training program, peer support, crisis negotiations team. I'm probably forgetting something in there, but that's basically it. As far as my favorite, it's freaking hard to say because I loved all of those units because it was like a different phase of my life. So I just experienced them for what they were. People talk shit about the bike squad, but dudes, like the freaking yellow shirts, nobody knew what they were. So you'd be biking around with this yellow shirt on. Nobody would know you were a cop. And me and my buddy would always work the downtown detail, and the clubs would let out and fights would ensue. And you'd say, hey, police, I'm here to whatever. Anyways, you just get knee deep in this fist fight, nobody knowing you're the cop, and it was awesome. You could watch so much crap just riding around on a bike, and you could be standing right next to it, and it'd be a dope deal or a fight or whatever. So I thought it was really phenomenal. I don't know if they do that same stuff now, but it used to be, we'd ride in the projects and stuff like that. So we'd get to have a lot of fun with it. But let's see, also I'd say SWAT school, love that. I didn't get to do with it what I had hoped because of some administrative crap, but it was awesome. I highly suggest if you can ever go to any of these schools, especially as a supervisor, to go to these schools and go to them like you are an officer, not like you're a supervisor that thinks that you're too good to actually go through it properly, but go through it. And I'm not saying that if you're part of the team or whatever, and I'm not talking specifically about SWAT, but if you're a supervisor over all these units, you don't have experience in them, it's a lot harder to have confidence in their competence. You need to go and invest in your people and see what they do and see why they are so good at what they're good at. It just opens your eyes to why you should be trusting these individuals. Now, at the end of the day, when you're at a command post or whatever, and you're a commander or what have you, it's still going to be your decision, but you're going to have these 6 different individuals feeding something to you, and you know the skill set that decision has come from each of those teams. So it really helps you make decisions, and it also just gives you a little bit of skill you might not have had before. But no, I think other than that, it'd be narcotics was hands down. If I had to pick one, shit, I can't pick one. I love the academy too. I loved all of them, man. I don't know. They all had a great purpose, and I made great relationships in all of those units.
So did you get promoted out of
Yeah,
stack?
I was in stack for a while, and I fucking loved it. My favorite part was like doing the undercover stuff, but obviously stack isn't like true undercover half the time, right? You just
No.
go do it for a little stint. But I'd have to do this shit where I'd walk around and do the surveillance because I was a girl, or I'd drive the mommy van, or like and I was really bad at this.
More detail?
Yeah, I was bad at that too. Like, I remember this one door, they were like, "Oh, he's not coming to the door. Hey, Tess, like, call him to the door. Try to be sexy." And you know how hard it is, one, just to sound sexy, but two, to sound sexy when there's like 7 guys standing behind you giggling. Hey, hey, baby, you remember me? Like, it was so bad. He's like, "I don't fucking know you." I'm like, "I don't, guys, like, I'm not good at this shit anyways. I don't know how to do this." And everybody's giggling. I'm like, fuck. Of course, he didn't come to the door. We eventually just had to bust down the door and go in. But that kind of shit I sucked at. But manipulation and shit with the bigger, like the dudes was a little bit easier. Like, if I was doing surveillance walking the street, they'd have to have another guy doing the detail, getting away all the Johns. So that was the only time I get kind of worried. It'd be like, if I'm doing surveillance and I'm walking the street trying to pretend like I'm a hooker, probably looking like one of
Hooker.
he's, he's and then there'd be like 14 Johns standing by in the parking lot, and I couldn't walk too close because I'll snatch you up. So I just walk close enough, and then usually I'd be like, "Oh, I got another date. I'll meet you back here in a minute," that kind of shit. But no, I liked it. I mean, I had some pretty bad incidences in there, but I'll say I never. Well, the level of closeness that you get in there is just unparalleled to a lot of the stuff. Like, you get close to people, but there it's like siblings. You just get so close to those people.
Oh, yeah.
All right, on to question number 2, which is, have you ever experienced sexism in the policing realm? Short answer is yes, but not from how people would probably assume it. I get pissed off about this subject a lot because I wanted to be seen as a cop and not a female cop. When I first got hired on, there weren't a lot of female cops. There is a ton more now, but I feel like in order to prove that we get to stand there and do this job, we kind of have to go above and beyond for a while. And then we get to stand there and say, "Hey, listen, we've earned this." I kind of feel like that's how you prove yourself. But there's also a lot of women that don't freaking belong there. For some reason, the job itself has become this sexy thing for women to do, and it's kind of gross because the job is anything but sexy, in my opinion. It's gross. You smell bad, especially your vest. But to go into my actual answer for this, yes, there is sexism in the department, but I've experienced it from the, how am I going to word this politely and not a rude way, the disheveled ones. The ones that don't have what I would call an alpha mentality, but because they're so incompetent in their own representation of themselves, they have to belittle the only thing that they can grasp onto, which is that women shouldn't be in policing. Now, there's these guys that you see a lot of podcasts and crap, but have like, "Oh, women can't do this, women can't do that." Those really aren't alpha men. Like, I have yet. And I've hung out with a lot of men because I've worked with a ton of them. And I mean, freaking phenomenal men that are awesome at their job and are the highest caliber of police that I think that you could find. And that's in training and in practice. That being said, those type that I've hung around have never been worried about a woman coming in and training with them or doing anything. If a woman goes there in there and does what she needs to do and is there for the team and takes ownership over mistakes and is not afraid to actually go out there and do the fucking job, hey, awesome. Cool. Maybe she'll help us raise the bar and do something else better or whatever. Because the fact of the matter is that true alpha mentalities are not fucking scared of people because that just means that they're going to get another opportunity to then raise their own bar or be better somehow. But to give more tangible examples, there's a very disheveled few. I'll continue with that term because that's the only thing I can think of that's acceptable to say right now. They probably haven't seen any part of them that makes them biological man in such a long time. So I find it fun that they're actually literally trying to grasp at a straw, which is what's between their legs. And they feel the need to say, oh, women can't be supervisors. And there was somebody that said that to me before, and thank you because of that I then did become a supervisor. Or there was another time when I was bored. I was looking for some people with warrants. So I got into this fight with a guy, got dragged down some stairs. We were fighting down some stairs, went into the road, all this other stuff. Big fight, whatever, is fun. Then that sergeant sat me down and said, hey, we need to take care of our women. You can't check out on people alone. Like my life isn't valued any more than these men, and they check out alone all the time. This is ridiculous. Another time is that we're sitting in a room. The chief is addressing all the supervisors, and this is, I don't know, 100 and something people, and I'm the only female supervisor at the time. And the chief says that we need to stay with our husbands. And I'm looking around the room like, I know none of these dudes are dating other dudes or married to other dudes, so this motherfucker's talking to me. And sure enough, all the guys look at me and they're like, I think he's talking to you. And I had just gotten divorced, so I'm like, what the hell? So that sort of shit. But again, to wrap it up, I have not experienced this kind of crap from the ones that you would think. People always think it's a guy that's out there lifting weights and is like uber masculine or some crap. I mean, I'm not saying that there are those. Yes, there are definitely those. But for the most part, it's the ones that are either bought into the religious part of women being subservient, or they are so inept in their own masculinity that they have to belittle women because that's all they got. And guess what? Women don't really care. It's because women don't want to deal with them anyways. For those that matter, I did not experience any kind of sexism. Only from those that really didn't matter and didn't have respect from the department to begin with, at least in the department that I was with. I cannot speak from all departments. But as a whole, I got nothing but respect, especially from those that worked with me and around me. They treated me equally, and yeah, there was that friendly banter back and forth. Friendly, but if you don't have that kind of a sense of humor, then you're not going to thrive in that environment anyways.
Okay, so what was your funniest stack moment?
The only one I could think of off the top of my head was the first week I was in stack. There was this car that we were stopping. I don't know. It was what the fuck is it called? When they put on a damn, it's not a topless car. What is it called?
A convertible?
Yes, thank you, a convertible.
Jesus Christ, drink another one.
I've had like this much so far. This is my second cup. Yeah, one of those topless cars. I'm not thinking, because my whole career, I'm always like, I need to prove myself. I need to prove myself. So I always do things a little bit more dangerously than I probably always should have. But I'm in the car with a buddy and kind of learning how things go. And the dude's tossing out dope, or we think he's tossing out dope. So when the car stops, I go over to it, and instead of just walking up to it, I just jumped the fuck over that. I fucking chazzed it. I jumped over the goddamn Corvette and just into the car. So then the guy starts driving off. So like,
now you're kidnapped by your own self.
We gotta like fight the guy and put it in park and all this other shit. And of course, it's like, I can't believe you fucking did that. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just doing shit. I mean, that was like the first real instance that I had in there. But the only thing I think of is one of the guys, he was doing a takedown and he was in a fight. So I hurry up and get over there and I drive my car up to him. And then right as I drive up to him, they get thrown into my car. So it looks like I fucking hit him. So then I get out of my car really fast and I'm trying to help out. But then all these cops show up all of a sudden. I'm like, damn, somebody like really called the cops quick. And it turns out that somebody just was like, hey, this old lady hit these guys. So they were coming up to me trying to take me into custody. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, but I can't remember the good ones. That's why I need other people like you to remember the shit. So what about you?
Oh, my funniest one was he was a narcotics agent attached to us from the county. You know who I'm talking about. He was there forever. Funny as fucking shit. So they just had Craigslist murder where they're getting the dude got that prostitute off of Craigslist and
Oh,
she
yeah.
met him and he killed her.
Yeah.
Made national news, whatever. So they wanted us to do some stings like that. So we did, and we ended up getting this high end hooker. I mean, she was bad, like bad, bad. Like you're like, damn, girl, you could be doing probably get any man you wanted to. She wasn't none like our hookers here. But anyways, we get her, and of course, she's already got her room. So we go up there, we rent out another room, and we set up all our surveillance cameras and stuff like that. And, you know, once the transaction is done, you got the go word, and, you know, we're supposed to come in the doors, all blocks, we're in the adjacent room. So she comes over into his room, and he's waiting on her. I tell you, she may not be a 10, but by God, she's fucking close.
Really?
Oh, yes. Like, she
Man.
was a traveling prostitute. That's
Wow.
what her gig was.
I wonder what'd she make a year, I wonder.
A lot, because that comes up later. She goes in the room and they start chit chatting, whatever. And of course, they always ask you, are you a cop? Blah, blah, blah. 'Cause for some reason, they think you have to tell them, whatever. So anyway, she gets butt ass naked. And we're all watching it. And this bitch is bad. We're just like, damn. Well, the transaction is done. He gives the code word. But we're all still just looking at what we're looking at. Like, so we don't go. Gives the code word again. We still don't go. Gives the code word again, and now we're fucking with him. So this time we're grasping it. We're like, let's let him just wiggle on this one. So finally, now this is all being recorded. So finally he says, man, if y'all don't come in this goddamn room, I'm gonna fuck this bitch. We all break down laughing. And of course we go in there and we grab her. And we're interviewing her. And she's like, look, y'all do what y'all, I mean, she did not give a shit. She's like, y'all do what y'all gotta do. Whatever the fine is, I'll pay it, blah, 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 blah. And like, you know, we're trying to like tell her, hey, look, if you can like put us on to something else. She's like, no, I ain't putting you on to shit. She's like, what's the fine here? What, a couple $100? She's like, I made $150,000 last year in cash.
Damn.
She's like, what are y'all going to do to me? She's like, arrest me, do what you need to do. I'm going to bond out. You fuckers will never see me again. I'm going to still do what I've been doing. And we're like, you go, girl. But yeah, that was one of the funniest moments because he's just like, y'all don't get y'all's asses in here. But it was like little shit like that, you know, you just fuck with each other about, and people don't really grasp it outside of doing this job. But it's just like, you can have so much fun doing this job. It just, I don't know. There's no job in the world like it.
No, I agree. And the people on the other end know too. Like, you know, if you're going to be the epicenter of some kind of fucking takedown or something, they're going to fuck with you somehow. Unless it has to do with actual safety, right? Like tactics and shit. But if it's something where you're the epicenter of it, you already know. You're like, fuck, they're going to fuck with me somehow. It's already going to fucking happen.
Yeah, they're going to hand you a dildo when you ain't got no glove on.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. The fucking dildo. I'd never seen like a dildo. Not that I'm an expert with this shit, right? I swear. Like, I didn't know that so many people own those stick on the wall dildos, right?
I call them the shower dildos because that's the only time I can ever think that's what they use them for.
They? Okay.
I'm married now.
That's all I use it for. Hey, they use it. But, you know, just, I'm sure you did this too. You'd stick it right by the light and you'd be like, hey, buddy, can you turn on that light?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every time. Question number 3. You ask the question, what was the moment that you learned that it was real? Often. So what is the moment that you had in policing where you realized it was real life? Good question. I like to do a lot of risky things just because I like the adrenaline of it, and I felt like I always had to prove myself, so that's how I did it. I stopped some car. I knew it was shady. I was like, okay, cool. You know, we're going to stop this car. He pulled over, and I could tell he was reaching around. He probably had dope on him, something like that. So I get him out of the car to do a search. Just as I start to search him, he jumps back and reaches for his waistband like he's going for a gun. And so I go for my gun, but he's a lot quicker than me going for his. And I don't know, like, I knew in my head, I was like, shit, I'm about to get shot. But it was, you know, in the movies and everything, it says like, oh, hey, you're going to see your greatest moments before you die, all this other good shit. There was nothing. Like, my last thought would have been, shit, this is going to hurt. And that would have been it. But luckily, I think he changed his mind last minute. Would I have gotten a shot off? Yeah, sure. But he had me dead to rights because, again, I was pretty fucking new. Didn't have my tactics awesome at the point. But I don't know if I ever did. Then he decided to run, so he ran, gave chase. He ran for a long fucking time, but in a straight line, and it was dark. So I just remember at some point telling the guys, like, hey, listen, just look for my flashlight. So I was just running, holding my flashlight up like it was a freaking laser beam or something. So they were able to find me. But sadly, they were the ones who were able to get the takedown because I was tired at that point, just chasing behind them, just trying to keep them in eyesight. Didn't find a gun. Don't know where the drugs went. I know we had both when we stopped them. But the only reason that was kind of the reality of it is because I guess it was my first brush with feeling like I was probably about to die. That happened several more times, but that was the first time. And I think that's when I was like, oh shit, I could die out here. Because even though we all know it's a possibility, you don't ever really think it'll happen. Because I don't think you really can, unless you just have some suicidal tendencies and this is the way that you want to go out. I don't think you can go out day to day going like, yeah, I'll, dying today kind of mentality. You have to always have that survival instinct in you because that's also what keeps cops fighting when they're shot or when they're hurt or when their buddies are hurt and they're really scared. But again, we all kind of get that moment. And that was mine where I was like, oh shit, this is real. Had several other eye opening moments after that, but that was one of the first ones.
All right, so you get promoted out. Where's your first assignment as a sergeant?
I think it was Second West. Yeah, it was Second West. Sorry.
I thought.
It was with powder, yeah, Second West.
So how was that like transitioning from patrol narcotics to now you're the one people are looking up to for all the fucking answers?
Well, it was easier because I got like detached a little bit with stack and narcotics. You know how it is, like people see you almost as a supervisor on patrol side. So it was easier to detach and then come back. And plus I had just had my kid and I needed a normal schedule, which is why I did it. Well, normal, quote unquote normal. I didn't need to work 24 hours a day anymore. So I went back out onto the street. But well, I didn't say this earlier, but funnier story is that the very first people that knew that I was pregnant, like first, was two of the meth guys because I had to tell them, like, hey, listen, I'm pregnant. I can't work meth anymore. And so the guys on stack knew I was pregnant before anybody knew. And then I stayed working those streets until I was like 5 months pregnant because the chief pissed me off. And I was like, fuck you. I'm going to work pregnant as long as I can. So I ended up chasing some guy through a yard pregnant with some postal worker. And they were like halfway, I'm like, should probably not do this. So I holstered my gun and then I went kind of like duty-ish for a little bit. But that's when I was like, okay, I need to take the sergeant's test. So I took that and ended up back on the street working Second West. And I loved it, but as you know, we lost Rush shortly after that. So it was a weird transition because I got outside of narcotics, so I felt distance from it. But at the same time, it was like, so I felt outside of that closeness that everybody kind of got, you guys got to lean on each other and crap during that stuff. And then, it was like, you're outside because you're supervisor. So that was a whole new thing. But I loved being a sergeant. I really did. Did you like it?
It had its moments, but I learned real quick after being a sergeant that no matter how well you do your job, certain individuals, higher ups, think you're a shithead and you make shit fucking decisions no matter how well you do it. You're the scapegoat.
Yep.
On everything.
Yep.
Let's just say you got a couple officers who got in trouble off duty. Well, it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
It was my fault because, by God, I should have been with them when they're off fucking duty. And you're just like, I can't control this shit on what the hell they do.
They graduate, they have a gun. Like, what are you going to do? You can only control so much.
But it seems like they were the scapegoat because to me, it always felt like once you made it to a certain rank, lieutenant, you were pretty much fucking untouchable. They really never fucked with you anymore, no matter whether or not you did your fucking job or not.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say my circumstance was the only one of the few exceptions I know to that rule. Because once you make lieutenant, really the less you do, the more praise you can get for shit. Because that's when you can actually start changing some shit a little bit better, but they don't want you to. But yeah, the sergeant gig was fun on the first line supervisor stuff. Like you feel, maybe it was just me, but you feel like you could actually change the mindset of a squad.
Oh no, well that's 100%. I mean, and I love my squads, but you can only change so much. And it helps if you've got the right lieutenant and the right captain.
Next question is, what is the worst call that you've ever had to experience? I don't think anybody in any kind of emergency services likes this question, and we get asked it a lot. I don't know why. I think because people don't understand that the worst call is not something that we like to talk about or that we can even handle, let alone actually telling you guys how it feels like. And plus, we have like 50, and I'm not talking about like 50 traumatic events. There's hundreds of those. I'm talking about 50 of the worst call where you think this is going to be the worst day of my life. You have at least 50 of those throughout your career. Um, but I will try my best to kind of give what it feels like and a little story, because it is what you asked, and I promise to be truthful, well, as truthful as I can on this podcast. All right, so worst call ever. I'd have to say it was a cluster of things that happened, and this has happened a few times in my career, but this is the one of the bigger times that it still makes me feel gross today. We have talked about a fallen officer on here before, or an officer that was murdered on here before. For one of those events, I was the shift commander, and I was in my office talking to another officer about a shooting that he had been involved in, and perhaps didn't react the way that he should have. And so we were talking about that stuff, and the call comes out of the an officer being shot. I knew it was a narcotics agent because I knew that they were out and about and who it was. So I get there to the scene, get told who it was. I don't even know how to describe it. So I was like, this, he's probably not going to survive. So I leave that scene, and I left a sergeant, a very brand new sergeant who was amazing. I left him in charge of some of the traffic control and everything that was going on that scene, and left to go to the hospital and tend to that scene because being shift commander basically means that you're over the entirety of the city until a higher ranking individual arrives. So I go to the hospital to see what's going on. I purposely go past the car which he was driven in because I knew that there was probably going to be blood and another scene in there. So I walk in and I immediately beeline it to his room to open up the curtain, and I guess I was thinking that I was gonna see a bunch of doctors and everything working on him, but when I opened up the curtain, he was just limp on the table and there wasn't anybody in there. And I was so confused because I was like, "What? Okay." So I pull the curtain back and I turn around, and Deputy Chief is standing back there, and he says, "Hey Tess, come here." So I go over there and he says, "Hey, he's dead. Don't tell anybody." And at that minute, I'm thinking, yeah, you motherfucker. Like, I fucking know he's dead. I just looked in there. I know what a dead person looks like. And I'm kind of confused because this is all happening within a second. And I look around because everybody's still very much sure that he's alive. And, he says, you can't tell anybody. And I get it because we got to wait for the family and stuff. But I was handling a bunch of stuff with them, trying to deal with the different crime scenes because it was about three of them, I think. I just remember keep walking up and down the hallway, and in my head, I feel like people were like tugging on me, like, LT, how is he? LT, is he good? And I kept on having to lie to everybody, and it just sucked. These people that I've known, you know, almost most of my life at this point, I had to just keep telling them lies because that's what I was told to do. Kept telling them, yeah, they're working on him, they're working on him. And they weren't. I mean, he was dead the entire time. But I got to tell a couple of people when they came in, it was either for rank or reason, and I had to shush them as soon as I told them. I was like, I mean, and some of them were, rightfully upset and crying, and I had to be like, hey, shush, nobody can see you cry. Go away. Don't. I hated doing that, but I know it was part of it so the family could be told in the correct manner. But the only part that really pissed me off was when I go back in and I'm getting, yelled at by these deputy chiefs and people above me to say, hey, you need to go make all these cars move because doctors need to park and they need to come in and work on them. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, not only am I going to lie to these guys saying that they're still working on them, but I'm going to go yell at them to go move their stuff so these doctors can come park to come work on him. So yeah, go do that and come back inside. And at some point during that, I don't know, my timeline's all messed up. They say, hey, he's dead, and I guess they made some announcement. I don't know, blacked out at some point. But a friend did come in, and he beelined it to me and gave me a huge hug, which just like pressed a button where I just collapsed. Took a knee, took it all in for a second, and then knew I had to get back up and keep going. So I got back up, and I am forever grateful actually to a sheriff of another department because he said, hey, I see you and I see what you're doing. And I know what he meant by it. And I think, I mean, what what I gather he meant by it, because that's what I took, is that, he knew that I was just powering through basically because he's familiar with it. And I don't know that if he knows how grateful I am that he did that, but just the mere fact that somebody saw it and appreciated it was that it helped me get through the rest of that, because after that, it didn't stop. You have to get their uniforms and you have to get wedding rings. And then I just remember that night I had his uniform up in my living room, and I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it. Um, so I just slept. Well, I laid. I didn't really sleep that night in my living room guarding it, and passed it off. I think the next day or something like that. And yeah, the funeral happened, and days kept rolling by, and I kept telling myself, because people don't tell you that when you get into a certain rank, is that you should allow time for your guys to grieve. You should give them room to grieve, and sometimes that means taking on some other stuff. But you also have to be sure to give yourself time to grieve. And I didn't do that, because by the time that I actually did that, I was like, okay, it's been some time. I'll take a day off. Took a day off and went to go see a friend. And about that time, another one of my sergeants called me and said, "Hey, we got something going on right now." And I'm not going to go into details about this, but a friend, an officer's child, had died. My two still pretty new sergeants were out there working their butts off on this. And I go into work and I help them. And we all knew each other. We've been friends for a long time at this point. And I can't say the gravity of that call. I mean, this is about a month from when we already lost a coworker, and then to see somebody lose their kid, a young kid, was horrible. And I think, I don't know. I kept on thinking somebody was going to show up. I kept on thinking that a chief or something would show up, or somebody of rank. And we did have a captain show up, and he had the most respect in that department. He showed up for a bit, and I thoroughly appreciated that. But yeah, no, that officer's chain of command didn't show up. Like, I don't get it. We preach this brotherhood and sisterhood, and yes, there were some people wanted to be there, and they would have been there for anything for them. But I don't. Why wouldn't they show up? Like, why is that an event that the command wouldn't show up for? That threw me for a loop. That fucked me up a little bit, because I thought, okay, we really are alone out here. Um, but then again, in policing, there is no relief, right? Nobody's going to say, hey, we got it, because you are the relief. There is nobody else out there. People might say, oh, the feds or somebody else. No, those are different levels of crime. These are local crimes, and we deal with them. Yes, county and other places do help us out when we have a fallen officer and big things happen, but that's not forever. That's a minuscule amount, and the city doesn't stop. The city never stops. You can have 12 officers die, or 12 huge events, and it doesn't matter. Somebody's still going to get in wrecks. Somebody's still going to have a domestic event occur. There's always going to be something happening, and no matter what, there's always going to have to be cops out there answering these calls. So I don't know. I guess to me, I got upset that day because, one, it was a shitty call after my guys had just answered that other shitty call the month before, and there wasn't any concern from command, so that got me that day. But you know what? Then COVID hit, so we're gonna carry on and go deal with that now, because yeah. But yeah, so I don't think I did a great job of that. I don't think I did a great job of telling that story, because it's really hard to do. But the best way that I can describe it is, during those calls, what I feel is like my heart, my veins, like everything inside of my body is vibrating to get myself out of that scenario as quickly as I can. But I can't. We got to sit in it. We got to be there. We got to be present. But every part of you is screaming to get the hell away from it. Yeah. And that's not kicking down doors and stuff. That's just the helplessness that happens after, when the shit has already happened and there's no actions to take place. There's no bad guys to catch. You just have to sit there in the misery and the shit, because you're it. You're the person. You're the cop. Nobody's coming to carry it for you. But yeah, so I hope that wasn't, I hope it was depressing, because the job can be very depressing. You're going to see horrible fucking shit. But you are also shielding other people to some degree from seeing it. You're carrying a weight so other people don't have to carry it. And that is my answer to the question. I do not suggest it. It's 0 stars. Absolutely 0.
All right, so yeah. You're a sergeant for a couple of years.
I don't even remember, because I got denied from lieutenant.
I remember that. I remember that. So You do make lieutenant now.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that different from sergeant to lieutenant?
I found it real quick I'd get bored. Like, they would expect very little of you, you know? So that's when I started doing the rook book for the sergeants because I was like, this is fucked up. You know, you just given a job, you don't know what the fuck to do. And one captain or one chief will tell you to do one thing and then the next one will tell you to do something different. So that's when I started working on the rook book. So we'd have something for every single scenario. And like, yeah, well, the peer support thing I started before then, but started rolling again with that. Crap like that. I did extra shit or showed up for calls because honestly, as a fucking lieutenant, you can get bored so fucking quick. But I had some good fucking sergeants too working for me, so that was always really fun to see them kind of take it and run with it because I trusted. I can't. There's a couple of them. It was like, but most of them, it was like, yeah, fucking run with it. What do you want to do? That's cool. That's right. And then you got to kind of guard your sergeants from some bullshit too. I think one of the only times because I got written up as a lieutenant, which because again I never got one of those good conduct awards. Written up as a lieutenant, which doesn't really happen a whole bunch. But during COVID, they'd send out all that shit about new rules, new things on Friday at 5 fucking p.m. And who wasn't working at Friday at 5 p.m.? Anybody from uptown. So I'd have to make all these command decisions because nobody would send us anything. And so I sent all this shit out saying, hey guys, you know, this is what the ambulance service is doing. This is probably what we can expect. Well, I got a dirty email from the deputy chief saying that, you know, lieutenant should be making these decisions, which I didn't make a decision. I was just saying, hey, this is what we should expect because the guys don't know. I mean, we're fucking with this stuff. Nobody knows what it is. It's all fucking brand new to all of us and we're just knee deep in it. And that kind of bullshit. I mean, you just have to know as a lieutenant, you have to take some hits that you can't tell anybody else that you took. So I took some hits as a lieutenant by standing up for some shit. And I think a lot of times what happens is people go to lieutenant and they get told no 14 times or, hey, here's a written or, hey, here's an oral reprimand or whatever. And then they stop fighting for stuff or they complain about it to the other guys. But the point is you get disciplined. You don't say shit about it because that doesn't help those guys underneath you. And then you just keep fucking working for what you know is right. Because at the end of the day, and the way that I saw it, is that our job is to stand to bullies, right? Be it murderers or bullies, all this other shit, right? From the extreme to a little bit. And some of those from town are bullies. So I'm going to stand up to them. And I'm going to say what's right and all this other stuff. If I stop doing that, I stop doing my job. So, but also I took I probably liked it a little too much standing up to that shit. But, but no, I thought it was, I'd say I liked being lieutenant over the academy just because it was a whole other challenge. And that was really fun because that was probably the busiest position I've ever been in other than narcotics.
To lieutenant of the academy?
Yeah. But that's again because think of the crew that I was over there with. It was like we all were like, hey, the bar's here. And everybody kept raising that bar and raising that bar. I don't know how the crew is now. I don't know how it is now. But we were the best thing and worst thing for each other, I think. And it's my fault because I was driving that train. But we were just constantly better, you know. But we got better. We did awesome things.
Oh, no, some things changed, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I was an FTO at that point in time, and
Yeah, you were.
That whole process changed.
I love torturing you.
Yeah, I remember getting called into it was my own lieutenant's office, and I told one of my FTOs that because he pissed me off about something. Oh, he was no call, no show at work, and then when we called him in the carpet the next day, he was like, "Well, my girlfriend wanted to go to Nashville, and she was my ride, so she wanted to stay, and I didn't have a ride back." Oh, that pissed me off. I was like, "Dude, I just want to beat your ass right now." Of course, the next day he called about, "You can't tell him you want to beat their ass."
Like, when did that change?
What? I didn't hit him. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I thought I did good.
Next question is, when is a time when you actually felt like you made a difference? I like the question because a lot of the times we don't feel like we make any difference because it is kind of just like repetitive offenders and same thing every day, whatever. But there are times when you actually get to prevent something and you know that you prevented something. So it's pretty early in my career, years in or something like that. And I'm super active. Like I just stop and check freaking everything at this point. So I'm driving around this old apartment complex. It's muddy that night. And there's a car sitting there, and the interior light's on. And it's kind of a weird place to park because it's in the middle of a freaking field, kind of, behind an apartment complex. So I drive it behind it to check it. And as I check on the vehicle, you could tell that they realize that I'm behind them. So they immediately put it in drive and then do a little bit of a U-ing, come back on me. And I'm out of my vehicle, but because they're pointed right at me like they're trying to ram me, I grab my gun, pull it out, point it at them, don't shoot. I don't know why. I know I felt like I couldn't shoot for some reason, but I ended up not shooting him even though he struck my vehicle, pinched me in between my door frame and my car. If he had been a few more inches over, I definitely would have had some serious damage to my internal organs. Somehow miraculously survived this. So he ran off, put it out on the radio. Luckily, my buddy Bull was pretty freaking close. So he chases down the car because I'm stuck in the freaking mud at this point, trying to get out of the mud to chase this guy down, cussing the entire time, mad that I'm not the one right behind him. But Bull chases him. The guy ends up driving straight up a telephone pole, flips his car, and then tries to get out of the vehicle. So Bull runs up and ends up getting into a little fist fight with him. I say a little fist fight. Bull broke his hand, and the dude's face was also broken. But yeah, so ends up that the guy was going to kidnap his wife and child, infant child. He was probably going to kidnap them and kill them, but we do know that that he was kidnapping them. So we stopped the kidnapping, which was freaking awesome. But looking back on it, I'm wondering, I never really know, but you wonder is the reason you didn't shoot because you saw the kid. Maybe, I don't know. But I know that day that we did get him off the street, and that was pretty freaking awesome. And then I guess the funny add-on to that is that since Bull broke his hand, we were supposed to go on a snowboarding trip. I think it was that next week or the next couple of days. We still went on that freaking trip. So a group of us had to go with him while he got his hand casted, and I don't think he's ever been so embarrassed in his life. Yeah, he did not enjoy himself, but we sure did. That doctor wanted us the hell out of there quicker than anybody else. So at least he got his cast pretty quickly. And then when we were snowboarding, we just ended up taping Walmart bags all over his arms and stuff like that. So, yeah, it turned out to be a good trip. Good story. But like I used to tell my guys all the time, we never know when we actually make a difference. We just know when we don't. You never know what you prevented, right? I mean, there's rare times like the story that I just told you that you might actually know that you probably prevented something pretty bad. But most of the time, you don't know. You just know when you live with the time, so you feel like you could have done better. But I do believe that these guys prevent a hell of a lot more than we'll ever be able to quantify.
So, how long was you at the academy for?
Fuck. 4 years or something? I don't know. Something like that. Because we were at the old academy for a little bit, and then we built the new one, and then moved into the new one, and that's when they moved the captain out of there, so it was just me and the guys in there. So lieutenant and all of us ran the academy and the firing range that we shared with the FBI. So I like how we're all very immature and we can't make decisions when it comes to like doing things right within the department, but yet we were mature enough to run the biggest and most complex part of.
One of the most dangerous.
I never understood that, but whatever.
So you ran all that. You changed the whole entire FTO program. You took over peer support, CNRT, right?
Yeah, crisis negotiations until they took that away from me. I wanted to keep it, but they said since I had peer support that they were going to take away negotiations. But I think it was because I kept standing up for certain things. Like that was during the pay scale thing too. And I got told by my captain at the time, we'll call him Tupper, that I need to shut my mouth and stop fighting for a pay scale that's never going to happen. And then I'm overstepping. But me and the recruiter, we kept kind of pushing a little bit. And then, after like a few months, we got to say, you're welcome for your new fucking pay scale. So, the recruiter did a fucking excellent job with it, but that's the kind of shit where our captain at the time was just kind of a dick, not really telling us anything and just telling us to stop doing everything.
Yeah, he's more of a piece of shit.
Yeah, that too. I don't ever understood because he had clout uptown, but he hadn't done shit.
He great at sucking dick. I mean,
I guess
apparently
so.
he cups the fucking balls.
But that always perplexed me because I'm like, why? My emails would be 2 words, and that's all I'd get from him. Yeah. Next question. As a girl, I'm sure you had to search a lot of girls or do a lot of things that the men maybe didn't. What were some calls or some situations that were odd? I don't know what you mean by odd, but I can think of some stories, and some of you guys that know me have heard these stories before because they are burnt in my memory from embarrassment. But all right, so one girl. So I freaking love searching the hookers, prostitutes, hookers. Man, not because I loved it, but because they'd hide a pipe or something like that, and the guys couldn't really find it, so they'd hide a pipe. Okay, cool, got a pipe. What can you tell me? Okay, cool, now you're good to go for this pipe. Whatever, destroy it. So I got a lot of information and stuff from the hookers about dope houses and crap. But this one particular hooker, I go to search her, and she has crack usually. So I go to search her, and I'm around in her belt line, which is where a lot of people keep crack. So I'm feeling her belt line, and I feel this crack rock. I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's a good crack rock. Okay, that's about a $20 rock right there. So I'm holding on to that thing, and then I'm searching around the rest of her belt to make sure, she didn't have a weapon or any more crack rocks, anything like that. And then I find another crack rock, like right in her belt line. And I'm like, oh, okay, 2 crack rocks. This is good. So I'm holding on to these 2 crack rocks, and I'm feeling them. I'm like, okay, these are definitely like $20, $30 crack rocks. They're pretty stout. And check the rest of her. Don't find any other crack pipe, or don't find any more crack on her. And so finally I'm to the point, okay, once you get to this point, it's like, okay, well, let's get the crack out. So I'm grabbing all these crack rocks, and I ask her, I'm like, hey, what is this, crack rocks? What's going on here? And I'm asking her to get them out, basically. And she goes, those are my goddamn titties. And I'm like, what? And finally I unveil the freaking belt loop and realize that her tits are tucked into her belt loop. So her nipples are just down in there, like way down there, like little flattened raisins. But they felt like crack rocks. So I'm thinking there's no way somebody's tits would be tucked into their jeans like this. So obviously they're crack rock. No, I'm just sitting there giving her little nipple twisters while I'm searching the rest of her, unbeknownst to me. So yeah, that was unfortunate just because I thought I found crack, but also because I was just standing there twisting this chick's nipples for, 5 minutes. Let's see, next one. My friend will appreciate this one because I had to do a lot of searches for narcotics when I was newer. And one of these girls, I was searching her, and I forget what she was supposed to have, like a bunch of different stuff. And I felt a bag of weed in her crotch. I mean, it was, I felt like maybe an ounce bag or something like that. So I'm feeling like, oh yeah, she's got weed in there. And she's like, no. I'm like, yeah, you got weed in there. So I'm yanking at it, trying to figure out how much, because a lot, girls will stuff that stuff up in them, and then sometimes it'll fall out. So you'll just get you'll hear a little bit of cellophane or something like that. You're like, okay, shit, no, this is dope, or this is marijuana, whatever. So I'm trying to like pull the rest of it out, thinking, okay, it's just stuck up in there. Well, I'm holding it with my hand, just yanking at it. And I'm like, what is this? And she goes, those are my fucking pussy lips. What? And first I'm like, oh shit. But then I'm like, no, there's no fucking way. There's no way that's what this is. Because I'm just sitting there tugging on it, pleasing her to some degree, unbeknownst to myself and not wanting to. And so I have her sit and I have her show me because I don't freaking believe her. Sure enough, yeah, it was like an ounce of something in there, but it was not. It was not weed. She did not have anything on her. Again, it was just me yanking at a piece of a human that felt like something else. So yeah, that was really fun. The guys really enjoyed that bit of the call. Yeah, I don't. Lots of things like that. I'd say it's all gross, but again, if you do it, you get to find good stuff. I know one time there was a guy that we talked about him earlier today or earlier last week, but Joe, he asked me to search some girl for him because she had a pipe on her or something like that. And you get good enough at this stuff, you can tell the difference. If you kind of knife hand it, you can tell the difference between a pad and a bag of weed or a crack pipe and a tampon. Unfortunately, it's an art that you really can't use outside of policing. It's not a skill that you really even want to attain, but you tend to attain it if you're a female in policing for long enough. So I hit it, and with that knife hand, I could tell that it was a crack pipe. And it's starting to slip out, so I tell her, just to get it out of her. Well, turns out she was using that crack pipe instead of a tampon. So as soon as you pulled that crack pipe out, blood started gushing out that had been stopped up there for a little bit. And then she pulls it out, she slings it out into the yard, and then places her hand back on my vehicle. I turn around to tell Joe, like, hey, dude, you want to take that, for evidence? No one sure as hell he's not going to. He's fucking gone. He's ran behind a house just dry heaving. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're done here. And so I drive off, and then later on, somebody calls and says I got complained on because it was blood on my car. Turns out, yeah, she had left a bunch of blood like it slung up there, so I had to go get that washed off. But my car apparently looked like a little bit of a crime scene for a bit there. But yeah, those are the 3 rookie, newer stories. I think that stuff that the woman or that I've dealt with searching. Same stories with men, but they tend to enjoy it if you're yanking on something that you shouldn't. So yeah, but those are my women's stories. If you do look to be in policing as a female, just know that you're gonna have some instances like that. Actually, as a dude too. So it's only good fun. Only good fun.
So What build up to you leaving the academy?
uh, so what happened was they asked the lieutenants where you want to go, and I didn't want to go anywhere because at the time, I was a single parent. I got a kid. She's in school, all this other stuff. I finally have somewhat of a normal schedule because I've been working second shift the majority of my career. All the shitty stuff that we've been through, we've experienced, as a department, I had to play a role in mostly because I was on second shift or whatever. And I was just tired, man. I just wanted to have some normalcy with my kid. So I told him, I met with the chief, the deputy chief, and said, hey, you should have put in for captain. And he tells me no, and that I need to focus on what I'm good at kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So I didn't put in for captain because I was like, it's going to be on call all the time. And I have my kid. She's young. And so I didn't do that. And so when they asked the lieutenants where they want to go, I said, I want to stay where I'm at. So I just said, I'm going to stay where I'm at. And then they're like, well, want to go to narcotics. I don't want to, y'all don't understand. It's just me most of the time taking care of my kid. How I've served these things. I want to do something normal for a little bit. And I think I pissed him off, basically, just because I did stand up for what the guys think. To me, at the point that you're a lieutenant, you're more of a facilitator to facilitate the discussion between the guys and the sergeants and the uptown. And that's what I did. And I stood up for a lot of stuff in peer support and crap like that. Stood up mean I was just the voice. These guys were the ones doing some fucking excellent work, right? But my captain didn't like me, and just was what it was. I sat in there with a meeting with the chief when I heard that I was going to go to second shift north. Well, second shift, basically. But I came from a first shift spot to go to the academy. So I gave up a coveted position, which is normal hours for my kid, to go to the academy. And then because they just all of a sudden decided to shake things up, I ended up back on second shift, which is where I've been most of my career. So I don't cry, barely ever. I don't know of a time that I have really cried, at least at work. But I met with the chief. I cried because I knew that if I had to go to second shift, I was going to quit. And I told him, I was like, listen, I have to leave. I cannot be here. I cannot work second shift. I said, I've worked all these things. And I recorded the whole conversation because I didn't trust what they'd say. And they said what I thought they would. Well, you should have put in for captain. Well, bitches, I came to you about captain. You told me not to put in for captain. This is a whole game that I'm not going to play right now. I told them, and they said that I need to help train the new guys. I said, why do I have to help train the new guys? Why can't anybody else do that? And also, that's a bullshit answer. Senior lieutenant, or pretty senior lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I was. I was pretty up there in the ranks. So had the most degree, had the most experience, all this other shit, but I was the only one that got moved to a lesser position than I was before. Everybody else that's friends with the chief and friends with uptown ends up in a better position, or at least one that's equal, but I get screwed over. After all the hard work is done with all the guys in the academy and all the crap that they did, setting up the new academy, setting up all this new stuff, after all that hard work is pretty much done and we kind of get to sit back and relax a little bit, this is when all this shit happens. So I get sent to second shift, and I started looking for jobs. Been there for 17 years. Wasn't planning on retiring. Was planning on making captain. I love the place. But the disdain and the dismissal of the chief and me saying, hey, I've had 17 years here. I have a master's. I have all these other experiences in most of the squads and most of the special units here in the department. And I'll stay. You got to give me a better shift. We can't do that. Why not? And it just goes in circles and circles. And they just kept saying, well, you should have told us what you wanted. I did tell you what I wanted. But then they'll make exceptions for men that have kids, and they're a single dad. They'll make exceptions for them for certain things. But I do want to give credit to one, you, and two, the peer sergeant and the captain, because all of you guys, you called me and the captain called me and was like, hey, we'll take care of you. Come up there. And we've had hard times and stuff in the department, but it is something different when you're raising your kid and then you guys covering. So I could work a different shift for a little bit, kind of like a swing shift rather, where I got to come in earlier and leave earlier so I could put my kid to bed. That means more to me than anything anybody's done with me or for me in the department, because you guys gave me time with my kid. And as you know, that shit's priceless. So if it hadn't been for you guys, because it wasn't for the fucking administration, they didn't care about the peer support team, about the negotiation, about all this shit that we had tried to fix. They didn't give a shit who did that, what did that, it meant nothing to them. But you guys invested in my family, which was my kid, and that meant the fucking world to me. Because I'm used to being kind of shit on by them. And then for you guys to stand up like that was, thank you. That was a long-winded way to say thank you. I appreciate that. Even if I ended up on second shift for the rest of my life, or like didn't get a job or whatever, for that little bit of time where I was able to spend time with her and put her to bed, thank you.
Nice. What was here for?
Next question is, what advice do you have for somebody that's looking to pursue a leadership role in policing? Now, I'm no expert in any of this stuff. I can only tell you what I found out and what I believe from my experiences. And as you can probably tell from this podcast today, I do get emotionally invested in my people. But to me, the easiest fix, or the easiest way to check yourself when you're a supervisor, is to recognize, are you doing the role that you were assigned? Are you trying to get into somebody's good graces in order to get to the next rank? Or are you fulfilling the position in which you are granted that at some point in your career you decided you want to go after? We fail ourselves and we fail those that work for us if we're never actually doing what we were supposed to be doing in the first place. If I'm a sergeant, then my job shouldn't be kissing the lieutenant's ass or, doing anything other than working with my guys, figuring out how to better them or to help them achieve their goals. Now, it is the lieutenant's job to help a sergeant achieve their goals and to get where they need to be and to communicate with them and how they need to correct different mistakes. I've heard so many people say, I'm going to say something, I'm going to change this as soon as I can get to this role. If that leaves your mouth, then you've already become part of the problem. Because no matter where you go and no matter what you do, you can say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to make it to lieutenant, or oh, I'm just going to make it to sergeant, I'm just going to make it to captain. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be something next, something else you're going to try to attain. If you don't stand up for what you're supposed to stand up for as a supervisor, and you're using an excuse that, well, I want to get to this place and then I can do it, then the moment's already passed. You have to strike half the time, either when the iron's hot or when you have kind of tactically worked it in how you need to. Because again, egos are in play, so a lot of times you got to do that shit. That was not my strong point. I admit that. I sucked at that. I tend to just always say it as it comes to my head or comes up in a meeting instead of waiting. But generally speaking, if the stuff needs to be said, it needs to be said. It doesn't need to hold on until you get a certain position. And I don't know if that made any sense, but basically just hold true to your people and to the position you're in. Stop trying to get to what's next. If you telling the truth doesn't get you to what's next, or doing the right thing in the position that you're in doesn't get you to what's next, then what's next is not a good thing to be. And at some point, if you keep doing that, you're going to change. And I think that's what happens to a lot of supervisors. They make it a pattern where they're always going to kind of bend to those above them. And then they continue to get higher and higher and higher and higher. And then they forget how to speak and how to stand up. And I'm not just saying this because I think that everybody should yell at those above them. But again, if I'm a captain and I have 12 lieutenants, now I don't want those lieutenants just screaming at my ass, but I want those lieutenants to actually tell me what they think about something so I can take whatever they think about it, all of their different opinions and all of their different thoughts, and either reanalyze my approach or validate the reasons in which I am going to take and change things, or whatever actionable items that are on the table that day. And then guess what? That also helps with communication. You communicate with your lieutenants or whoever. I appreciate your input. This is my decision. This is why I'm making this decision. I understand that this might make you angry because this isn't something that you agree with, but this is my decision. And that is a command decision. Taking in input from others and actually not having an emotional response to it, being able to be analytical with it, and then coming up with a decision. Whether it's good or not, that's up to how it rolls, I guess. But that is my advice, and hopefully it made some kind of sense.
So my next question to you is because I worked there for 20 years, you were there for 17. I've never seen them do the shakeup like they did during all that. So what brought the shakeup on? Or do we know?
I think that they were trying to move people in positions that would be yes men. And they knew that I wouldn't be a yes man. No, I'm 100% supportive of that department. But by that department, I mean that department as a whole. It's not a Hitler regime, right? Like, I'm going to support the betterment of the department, not the individuals that are in leadership positions. So I think because of, standing my ground on some things, they didn't like that. And as you know, there's a lot of yes men up there. So they wanted people that were like, yes, sir, I'll do that.
Do you think it was because of Tupper wanting to get rid of you?
Partly, yeah. I think that
That's
was,
what I always thought.
I don't think that was his end all. I'm not gonna give him that credit, but I think that he definitely was not gonna try to save my ass. You know, like, he wasn't gonna help me with shit.
I think he was the ringleader behind it because we all know he had the chief's ear.
Yeah.
But if you remember, of all people getting going everywhere, everybody's resume got better by their move, except yours.
Yep.
Like you had a patrol lieutenant taking your spot at the academy, so his resume automatically got better. And then there was several other moves to where from SOD to CI. I mean, there was a lot of movement to where these resumes keep building. You were the only one that didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I think that was a part of it. I think there was a couple people in play there, but I don't know. I played the recording back afterwards, and the part that killed me was, what did the chief say? He said, I was crying in his office, which I have never done, and again, I've worked more officer deaths and situations and shit than I'd like to admit, but he said, "Did you think that you'd get to stay there until it was convenient for you?" And he said it with such, like, disdain and just carelessness, like, "Dude, like, I've worked, I've bled, I've lost for you, and you just don't fucking care? Like, this one situation, this is the one thing I'm asking you for. One fucking thing. I worked the street saws 5 months pregnant, you know, like, I've done a shit ton, started units, gotten pay, like, what do you want?" But they wanted, you know, me to say, "Yes, sir, you're intelligent, you're correct." I'm sorry, I'm not gonna fucking say that. Anybody that's actually a good leader, Jesus Christ, everybody in the academy, I fucking got it, man. Those guys would call my ass out in a heartbeat, as would most of the squads, as they should, as would you. Like, if I'm making a fucking stupid call, you want people to tell you you're making a stupid call. And at the end of the day, you still make that call with what you feel like it, but you still need people around you that are going to tell you the fucking truth. And I don't think that that's what they wanted. I think their egos are a little bit too fragile. And that's why they stay where they are. They're very protected. And if something's hard and it's a hard conversation, which we all know Uptown won't fucking have, if they have to sit down with somebody, just like with this last incident, if they have to sit down with the crew and have a hard conversation and make a hard decision, they won't do it. They have to have somebody else make that decision and that choice. And I think that they got rid of a few more before me that had the same kind of that would stand up to him a little bit too, you know, and I think they got rid of them, and that was just the next one on the chopping block. It would be my guess, because that was probably the only other time where I almost got teary-eyed, because I was like, fuck, there's nobody else up here. And at the time, also, I was the only female lieutenant. I think it was only a second or third one in our department's history.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I think you are right, because I can only think of two before you.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
I can only think of two.
So it was a whole thing. But again, they're all very religious. That group was religious, and they were also very old school. So I'm neither of those.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's not put age meaning they're old school.
Okay. That's
Majority of these people
Sorry.
we talking about, to be fair, weren't really good cops.
No.
To begin with.
No.
Okay, they were really good at passing tests. Okay, really good about being seen with the right higher ups, you know, FaceTime. So let's not get that.
I don't get why somebody that's like uptown and outside of the police department, though, didn't look at them and say, "You're full of shit." Like, how did they not realize that half these people are full of shit? No,
because, I mean, look at, you know, I look at it like this. The department in my city was making the news back to back to back to back. And then they hide it from the news where one just took his own life. But the news is smart enough to know that just fucking took place. If I'm over that department, not the chief, not the chief. I'm talking about the mayor, little council members. To me, I'm looking at that this is probably a fucking problem. Yeah. And to me, it's not an individual problem. This is a cultural problem at this point in time. It has gotten out of hand. I would think that, one, I'm not going to go talk to deputy chiefs. If you have a chief in your title, I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to go talk to captains. Me, I want to go talk to the sergeants and patrol to find out where this bus lost its fucking tires and figure out what the fuck do I need to change going forward. And the reason why I won't talk to captains and lieutenants is because they're all, majority of them, not all of them. There's one that I still hold dear in my heart, and you do too. And I believe his heart's in the right fucking place. And majority of them, they're still playing the game.
Yep.
So they're going to give you the game answer. But to me, there are some changes that need to be made, and you just can't shuck this off to, well, this is an isolated. No, not anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
This is not an isolated incident. This is something deeper. And I mean, it also goes back to just because you pass a fucking test doesn't mean you're a fucking leader.
Last question. There's a few more in here, but this is the last one I'll answer with this season. What was your favorite thing about policing? That is a very hard question to answer because it was just people. And it was mostly those that I was working around. But when I left swimming, the sport of swimming, I swam for Michigan State, and the thing that I feared most about it, and I remember writing this little shitty letter to one of my best friends. He was a Navy SEAL, and I wrote to him bitching about leaving swimming and how sad I was and how hard it was. And then now, hindsight 2020, I'm like, oh my God, what a fucking idiot. You're complaining to a goddamn Navy SEAL that's out here doing his thing. You know, we've been training together for like a decade or something at that point. And I'm like, what a God. But anyway, so I'm complaining to him, saying, hey, you know, I'm so sad. We're never going to find this team again. Then I do. It took me forever to find a job after college, as it does for a lot of people, like a solid job. And day one of the academy, you just start in this shit with all these other people. And although, yeah, I know in this episode I bitch a lot, but again, it was because of some traumatic shit that happened earlier, and I was just angry in general, as was my buddy. But I loved it. Like I love these guys. They are my family. And although I probably won't talk to a lot of them for a decade maybe. But if one of them called me up and said that they needed something, I would be there so fucking quick. So fucking quick. The only thing that trumps these guys is, of course, my daughter. Because I can't even say the things that I do for that kid. But yeah, it was so much fun. The stupid little pranks on the daily basis. One of the best ones I think I got was one of my buddies that put a pepper spray in Vaseline and then put the Vaseline underneath my car handle. You can't get that shit off. You cannot get that shit off. So I was burning all freaking day. But it's just stupid shit like that. Even when I was a lieutenant, we threw confetti eggs at each other. When some of my guys were having a crappy day, we decided to go by the precinct and just attack them with confetti eggs. I mean, it was a shitty fucking day, but just something stupid like that just brings up people and reminds them that this simple crap can just bring you some little bit of happiness and remind you that life isn't all doom and gloom. And that's basically what we did for each other. We reminded each other about the little things that could just make us laugh. And yeah, we laugh at some horrible shit, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast long enough. But I mean, the things that those guys have done for me and shown up in ways when I should have been dead or could have been dead, I can't say enough good things about that department and those people that I got to work with. And to those that know me, and to those that I got to work for, and by for, I don't mean those above me. Some of those, yes, but when I say work for, I mean those that were below me in rank or those that worked beside me. Thank you. I can't put it into any better words than just saying thank you. And that's the best thing about policing, in my opinion. I think what breaks my heart is I don't have any regrets for leaving. Like, the path that I've taken is really good for my kid, and I'm learning a shit ton of other stuff, and I'm learning how to not be a cop when it comes to life. But it breaks my heart to know how fucking good that department could be. So fucking good. And you know it too, like the people and the strengths, and if we could bring a couple of those captains back and get rid of some people, and then god damn how good that department could be. But it'll never be there, and we know it's going to get worse. And that's what I told him in my exit interview, for which the chief wouldn't meet with me. I had to arrange a meeting with a DC. But I'm like, hey, this place is going to get so much worse, and eventually you're going to hit rock bottom, and they might bounce back and get better.
I agree. I started seeing a change when I first started. People, even in patrol, would work 30, 34, 35 years, even as a patrolman, because they loved working there.
Yeah.
Investigators, hell, you couldn't pay those fuckers to retire. Supervisors would stay on forever, so therefore no slots would ever come. I mean, when I first started, day one, they told me in the academy, before you make it to first shift, you'll have to work here 12 years. And then gradually over time, as soon as people started hitting their 25, that was the first thing you saw, gone. And then you started seeing people getting hired on, doing 2, 3, 4 years, quitting, going to something else. That's starting to be more prevalent. So now I think they're starting to realize we got a problem because the whole culture has changed now to where people didn't want to go nowhere else. They loved it there. Now they don't love it there anymore.
Yeah.
The ones who can't leave and can't go do something else, as soon as they hit their 25, they're like, fuck you and out. I'm gone. And these new generations, those fuckers know how to save money.
Yeah.
So they don't need this job. They don't need your paycheck. I think, like, you showed it to them. I don't think they ever thought in their mind that, when you sit there and you told them, hey, if I can't get this, I have no choice but to quit. They're like, you're a lieutenant. Look how much money you're making. No way you're fucking leaving us. Boom, bitch. See ya. I'm out.
Yeah.
I think that blew their doors off. They're like, holy shit. And since another one has went. And at 17 years, I'm out. I mean, they need to start realizing that this ain't the department of old to where everybody wants to be there because it's so great. No, it's not great anymore. Either you fix it or go ahead and install a revolving door because that's about what you're about to get because no one's going to stay.
Misuse of force is going to go up. Calls are going to go up because they're not going to know how to handle calls quickly or anything like that. A management command post. I mean, all that fucking
shit. The city keeps growing.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And I don't know. I think that they are so scared again to have that fucking conversation, that honest conversation. Even when I met with them, none of them would come off of it. Hey, this is my decision. This is why we're doing this to you. Nobody would say that shit. Now, if you're the chief, it's your fucking responsibility to say it's your choice because guess what? At the end of the day, even if it's not your choice, you're the man in charge. It's your fucking choice. But they don't take ownership over anything. And at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want somebody to say, this is why I made this choice and this is my reasoning. Again, I mean, I don't remember if you're in that sergeant course or not. I used to teach that new sergeant course where it's, hey, when you make a decision, how do you know it's not emotional? You can say, I'm making a decision because A, B, and C. None of them can fucking do that to me. And that's what pissed me off. And I explained that to them. I said, hey, had to tell these people they didn't get this job. It's because I told them A, B, and C. I said, tell me reasons why. And they could never tell me reasons why, which means it's because of an emotional decision they're making or something underlying or whatever. But yeah, it's just they think fairness amongst officers is a monochromatic approach, meaning that it's all like the same. No, fair doesn't mean that everybody's treated the same. It means that you talk to everybody and you give everybody the same reasoning. Like, if I'm going to discipline you for something, it's going to be different than maybe how I discipline a brand new guy for something. I don't fucking know, but I'm going to be able to give you reasons why or talk to you or what have you. But these guys just don't fucking talk to anybody anymore. They just fucking issue shit out.
Well, and I think that they think we don't know what goes on. I mean, you don't think that we don't know that other sides of towns are doing dirty ass shit, and then you don't do shit to them? I mean, you don't think we didn't see that? Oh, he didn't get deputy chief. Okay, now, if it was that sergeant who wasn't your yes man like that man was your yes man, what the fuck would you have done to him?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been a sergeant no more, I can guarantee you. Hell, he might not have had a job. I'm not saying all of them by no means. I'm not painting them with a broad brush, but the certain ones who should know better are stupid as fuck.
I don't know if you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes, I have.
You know that monster that has the eyeballs in his hand?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the guy that looks like that, you should be looking like that and still be running a department because your values are so far from what actually, like everybody says, you guys need to act differently because the community expects different things. And yes, that's true. Like with the body-worn cameras and shit, like, yes, we have to act a different way and do things differently and kind of almost perform to a camera now so people know what we're thinking when we're doing things or when you guys are doing things. But also, okay, we fucking suicide, right? Nobody fucking cares what somebody that's been here for 1,000 fucking years thinks. It's not about them. It's about the people that are serving beside and around that person that cares for that person. So if you want to not give that person full honors, or if you want to ignore that suicide happened, you're doing old-timey bullshit, and you're not respecting the wishes of the people that are around him in today's time. I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but
no,
that's the
not for
bullshit.
Some of the people who work here. You're not exaggerating.
They keep on saying about them. It's like, you don't understand the fucking basis of leadership. You go to all these goddamn FBI leadership courses. Okay, cool, you got it on your resume, but you can't fucking teach. Don't be fucking stupid. It's not about you anymore. once you reach sergeant, it's not fucking about you anymore, let alone lieutenant, captain, deputy chief. It's not fucking about you anymore. And they just don't get that. And that kills me because I see all these people suffering for them. And it's like, I just hope nobody else dies.
So they've never learned those mistakes. Then you had Rushbrook, self-inflicted. The way they treated it,
That was fucked up, man.
completely fucked up. And now you just had Jason going down, self-inflicted. And you ain't learned a fucking thing because you just made the same exact fucking mistakes. And you wonder why everybody's fucking mad at you and they fucking hate you. I wonder why.
Yep.
I wonder why. You can't get out of your own fucking way. And I ain't saying, put him on the fucking VFW on the wall down there, but you act like if you don't talk about it, then it never fucking happened.
Yeah.
No, it fucking happened, and he meant a lot to a lot of fucking people.
Yep.
You act like, well, if we celebrate this, it's almost like they think it's promoting it. We're not celebrating the act. We're celebrating the motherfucker's life up to this. The fact that he was 101st Airborne, the fact that he was a contractor, the fact that he had done a lot, PD, and you just treated him like he was a fucking pariah. You fucked up, and you're going to keep fucking up if you keep acting the way that you're fucking acting. You want to promote all this mental health, and we got CIT officers, and we got this, and we got that. But yet, when one of our own go down, fuck that guy.
You know who they didn't fucking call with Jason? Here. Didn't have one person from Pier to tell them, hey, this is what we need to do in this fucking situation, which was fucking mapped out. Just, let's just
Even though
see what
one
happens.
of his best friends was the one who found him. Not only one of his best friends, one of his subordinates.
Yep.
Somebody who worked for him.
Which is a whole other thing, right? Because a person of rank that happening to is new.
Oh, 1,000%.
That's new. The fix seems so simplistic. It's just look in the fucking mirror. Listen to your guys. I don't.
Well, some people get their feelings hurt. Feelings are real.
Arthur.
That's what I've been told. Because apparently I've heard a lot of them in my career, but apparently feelings are real.
Golly, now you're telling me shit.
I know. I mean, I used to joke around saying, don't you hurt my one feeling. Apparently, some people have more than one.
I just don't get it because literally you're telling people like, hey, here's the life vest, or here's where you need to swim to, don't drown, or whatever, but they just don't fucking care. They're just going to let them keep treading water until they fucking go under. But I truly think, after talking to them one-on-one, that in their minds, they think that they're the victim. They think that those under them have not sold them the correct information. But I know for a fact, I've sat there and told them the correct information time and time and time and time again.
Oh, yeah.
And then the narrative changes. So
Well, I mean, and everybody sees it. It's not just people like me and you. All of patrol sees it.
We've totally gone off track, but...
Fuck it. Your job to edit.
What? No. I can't edit anymore. I don't even know if we have a topic in here.
Way off guard.
Yeah, that went way sideways. I don't even know what I can use out of this because I'm like, woof.
We covered a lot. I think where we went off the rails was what made you leave the academy. I think that's when it went downhill after that.
Yeah, it definitely went downhill after that, but that's okay. Yeah,
I don't
we
give a
are.
shit.
Yeah.
And you may have to go ahead and delete the whole damn thing. I don't.
All right, you guys made it to the end of the episode. I guess those F-bombs and cuss words didn't shy you away, which I'm surprised because a friend of mine, I had him vet the episode, and he is a cop, and he said, there's quite a bit of cussing in there. So I was a little bit worried, but you know what? You guys are just as bad as me, apparently, because you made it this far. I'm going to give a couple of shout-outs real quick before we wrap up Season 1. And that's to my guests. I freaking love you all. I hope that I've shown your stories the respect it deserves. And I hope that I see some of you back for Season 2. I also want to say thanks to all the listeners and to those that have shared, liked, commented, all that other good stuff to help get this out there and get it heard. It's one thing to get somebody to come on and for them to give us the privilege of hearing their story, but it's another to share it and let others hear those hardships so they can kind of know, hey, I'm not alone in this shit that I'm sitting in right now. We may be countries apart, but hey, there's somebody else out there that's sitting in this shit and it has kind of seen it to the other side. Or at least it has taken another step in another pile of shit. No, I did get a lot of questions about swimming and stuff too, and some other things in my life, but I kept it in the policing realm this episode just because it felt weird to jump back and forth. So for those of you that asked some questions that I didn't get to, I promise I'll answer some of those in later episodes. But I want to speak specifically to my friends from my previous career. I hope that this episode and me talking some smack doesn't deter you from the career that you're in currently in policing. It is a freaking awesome career. And for those of you that know really what happened with a lot of different stuff over the years, that was just the last straw. I couldn't take another hit. That doesn't mean that I don't respect the career and everything that it is. But some of you guys, man, you need to fight for it. You need to fight for what it should be. And you need to know that it might not be something you're even going to see win. You might not even get to see anything that you have put into play come to fruition. But if you truly care about the career and you truly care about the job and those that you work beside and those that come after you, invest in it in ways where you hope that it will be better in 10 years. And maybe that means some of you guys need to take rank that don't want to. Some of you guys might need to say something needs to be said. And some of you that are in rank, maybe you should step off, step back, scoot on. We'll use that word. Because how this department has changed. Do you really think that you've done it any better? You think you've really helped some things? But treat your people with respect. Don't yell at them. If you have to raise your voice at your people in an office environment, you're not at war. You're not on the streets trying to help them with their officer safety or something that's immediate. If you're having to scream at your people in an office setting, then you might need to turn it down a couple of notches. Or hey, maybe you need to go to therapy. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I mean that truly. Maybe you should go to therapy and figure out why a calm environment is making you that angry. Because it hurts me to see some people that could thrive and do amazing things be disrespected, belittled, hell, I'll even say abused. But I'm off my high horse. Not going to talk about it now. But since this was my episode, I wanted to make sure to say my piece. All right, guys, go out there, do good things, catch bad people, all that other good stuff. And I'm looking forward to season 2. And a few of you guys have asked about some swag. I'll try to get some swag out there, maybe mid-season 2, something like that. But tell me what you guys want. Our email is in the show notes. Our email is in the show notes, so feel free to email us with any questions or any ideas, or if you'd like to be a guest, by all means, please email us, let us know what your topic is and kind of who you are, and we'll hit you back. All right. See you guys on the flip side.